Hey everybody, Brayden here, bringing you a cheap opinion in politics. And as I hinted in the previous video, I wanted to talk about the 2020 election. So, this is going to be the only video I'm going to make in 2019 and in terms of the 2020 election. So, I want to look at the Democrat frontrunner and a sleeper candidate. And then I want to look at the Republican frontrunner and then a sleeper candidate and breaking it down into what will shape into the 2020 general election. So we'll start on the Democrat side. Now, if history can be an indicator for the runner ups in the nomination fight, regardless of being a Republican or a Democrat, the runner up usually wins the nomination the next time around. So if we backtrack a few years, that runner up in 2016 was Senator Sanders from Vermont. Very big progressive, Medicare for all, talked a lot about income inequality, wanted to higher taxes specifically on wealthier Americans, and that was Senator Sanders, and so that's what a lot he ran on. Now, the before I reveal a sleeper candidate, in my opinion, there's two strategies that the person could undertake, which is you could try and out progressive Bernie Sanders. Uh, you've basically you've realized 5 minutes ago, you finally discovered your progressive values, and now you too want to try and instead of in terms of expanding Social Security to just $1,000 a month, you want to do $2,000 a month for everybody. So you could go that route. That is an option, or option B, play identity politics. You could very well make the argument of on if you went identity politics, you could talk about in terms of bringing in. You could make the argument that the nominee that the best way to beat a white guy is not another white guy. That we should have a nominee that is reflective of the average Democrat voter. And also mixing into that, this candidate, in terms of identity politics, has policies particularly that will help women, that will help minority communities, and so that's going to be key on those two fronts if you're going to play identity politics. And out of those two strategies of out progressive Senator Bernie Sanders, or playing identity politics would actually be the one to do it, because in my opinion, I just don't see you have someone like Senator Sanders who has been a progressive their entire political career. I just do not see how he would lose on that ground. So, though, now what we need to find is a candidate, preferably African American female, that is currently a senator. If someone like that existed, that would be a great sleeper candidate that could upset Senator Sanders. Now, if only that candidate exists. Oh, wait, she does. Senator Kamala Harris, who was the former Attorney General in California. She is obviously the senator from that state, and she is currently, getting ready to run. So she would be a pretty big sleeper candidate. That would be the one I would go with. She can and she's been willing to say, she's been, in terms of, we go back to the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, when Trump and all that went down, in terms of how Brett Kavanaugh treats women. Senator Kamala Harris was there, asking the tough questions on behalf of women. So she's already kind of going on that note of being there for women. And also, the other reason why I'm kind of doing this video now, Senator Sanders has already kind of had a hiccup in his campaign. It was probably, maybe a couple of weeks ago or so, just about, that it came out that during 2016, there were some women that had filed some complaints in terms of the management, of I guess along the lines of it was some sexual misconduct. And Senator Sanders was asked about this on CNN, and he didn't have the best response. And so there were people on the left that obviously are going to defend him, but at the same time, there were people that came after Senator Sanders on that. Like, what kind of response is that? Are you kidding me? So it was kind of a back and forth. But I'm just telling you right now, that's what you're going to see in 2019, because these debates are coming up real fast. You got the first one coming up in June. There's 12 Democrat debates. They're coming. They're going to be. It is going to get nasty, and I do believe it will get nasty in terms of identity politics. Whether or not Senator Kamala Harris will be able to come forward on it, and really challenge Senator Sanders, we'll just have to wait and see on that. But that's kind of my prediction on the Democrat primary fight. We've got Senator Sanders versus Senator Kamala Harris. But the key thing to beating Senator Sanders out of the nomination is identity politics. Now, for those that are still here and wanting to, who is the sleeper candidate for President Trump? Well, it's pretty obvious of who could challenge Trump, not necessarily just in the nomination fight, but really in the general election. Is a nice can't really remember his name all the time, but one day he will. Governor John Kasich from Ohio, and I'm just messing with y'all. No, it's not. The real sleeper candidate to President Trump, and it's one that he really likes to talk about a lot: the economy. It really is. The economy is the sleeper candidate for President Trump. And I'll get into it a little bit more as far as how does this relate and me bringing up the Federal Reserve later on, and then talking about the economy. But the economy is very important in terms of President Trump's reelection. It will, if the economy, if in 2020 the country is in a recession, it will be very tough and very difficult for President Trump to get reelected. That is going to be very much a challenge. But we'll have to wait and see. But there you go. They're in essence, they're on the left of to be, otherwise, if the identity politics candidate doesn't come out on the left, then Senator Sanders wins the nomination. Then on the right, obviously President Trump, then that's basically me saying President Trump's going to get the nomination. That's what your 2020 matchup would look like in a way, is Senator Sanders versus President Trump. Now, President Trump is going to be a hell of a lot tougher to beat than in 2016 Trump. And the reason why I say that is because you've got to remember, President Trump has already raised $100 million towards reelection. He's also gone out and he's got a pretty big internet database on voters and so forth. I mean, he's got a pretty good lead on that too in terms of running internet ads and so forth. So he's got a very strong network and presence on the internet too. So he will, and finally, he's also, I just forgot about this. He's also got incumbency. So he will be, and then there's also the economy. So, remember that. If the economy is still doing pretty relatively strong, it's kind of hard to sit here and go, well, the economy sucks. We're in some kind of, what's with this? But if we're in a recession, then it's a little bit easier to make that argument that, this is a failed president. That's it. So in the end, that's what your 2020 matchup's going to be. If, like I said, if you're interested in watching a lot of these debates, you're more than welcome to. That's up to you. I'm just warning you that as far as on the Democrat side, I think we're going to see a lot of identity politics, whether it be Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Booker, Senator Warren, or Senator Christian Gillibrand. A lot of these senators, they're going to be ready to play some identity politics. I think I really do see that. Whether if they're only going to do it in terms of gender or if they're just going to do it in terms of race, it would be preferably if that candidate can do both, and to really try and have a chance at beating Senator Sanders. In the end, though, I predict what I see going on in reality is I very much do see the possible matchup of a Senator Sanders versus a President Trump. But as far as now, who would win between those two? Well, you'll have to wait until 2020. That's going to be the big cliffhanger for this. But I did wanted to just go ahead and make this video. I didn't really care to make a video every time somebody announced an exploratory committee. For those that don't know, an exploratory committee, it basically means I'm thinking about president, but I might not be. I'm not sure yet. Get back to me later. So I'm not going to do that every time. I'm just making this general video of what I think is going to go on during the 2019 election cycle. Like I said, a lot of the Democrats are going to start announcing over the next couple of months because the first debate is in June of this year. And I'm just, one of my arguments of why I'm not really that interested as of right now is just because, oh, yes, if we are in the general election, everybody's going to think back to that time Senator Sanders talked about Medicare for all in the June 2019 debate. Specifically with these two gentlemen, you've probably already kind of made up your opinion on them of whether or not you like them or you do not. You kind of already have an opinion on them. Somebody like Senator Kamala Harris or Senator Cory Booker or Senator Warren. Well, we've kind of heard about her some too, but generally speaking, a lot of these other candidates don't have as much name recognition, so that people don't know as much about them. But in the end, I'm going to wrap this up. This is my 2020 coverage in election day in America. Nice little background that I did not borrow from CNN because of, again, low budget tier. But this is my final one for 2019, and everybody will have to wait till 2020 February to actually get some real input of where this race is headed. Until then, see you next time.